America is insolvent, and the people who will feel it first are the ones who voted for this. And in case you don't know what insolvent means, baby, I'll put it here on the screen for you. It means bankrupt, unable to pay its debt. And that's right, by America's own Treasury numbers, we in fact are insolvent. $47 trillion in liabilities, $6 trillion in assets. And I want to talk about exactly who that's going to affect first, because the answer just might shock you. Now, according to Pew Research, 67% of the people that voted for Trump do not have a college degree. According to Brookings Institution, 66% of white working class Americans backed Trump in 2024. And the Economics Innovation Group, baby, they found that the more economically stressed a county was, the more it swung Trump's way. Are we surprised? The man said he loves the poorly educated. So yeah, the people that were already hurting the most voted for this. This would make the United States of America his seventh bankruptcy, his seventh failed business venture. Failed for everybody else, not him. Because he's made how much since being president? Now, please understand, this is not going to affect billionaires, hedge funds, trust funds. Now, please understand, this will not affect the billionaires. This will not affect Wall Street, hedge funds, none of that. But it most certainly will affect working class Americans. Social Security, baby, that trust is set to deplete in 2032. That is only 6 years away. And when that trust depletes, federal law mandates a 28% cut to Social Security benefits. That means some of y'all, Meemaw and Papaw, ain't gonna be getting their Social Security checks. You know who else depends on Social Security? People who don't have pensions, people who don't have 401ks, people who spent 40-something years depending on that money, and now the government's gonna be telling you, sorry. The people who have spent 40-something years putting into that system, working every goddamn day of their lives, and the government is going to cut those benefits you've been depending on for your older times of your life. And then, honey, you got Medicare. The Medicare fund has similar projections to the Social Security fund. People who cannot afford private health insurance depend on Medicare. Medicaid cuts are already on the table in the One Big Beautiful Bill, the same bill that adds $4.7 trillion to the debt. A debt of a country that's already insolvent. Bankrupt, bitch. See now, Black, brown, indigenous communities, we've been here before. We know what it is to live within a system and have to survive a system that was not built to benefit you. We know what it is to make $50 stretch to feed a family of 6. We know what it is to work multiple jobs and have to figure out how you're going to pay each bill by doing odd jobs on the side or taking up a side hustle or two while maintaining your 9 to 5. Because here's where y'all should be real concerned. The people who are about to feel this for the first time do not have the same survival skills. Because for decades, they have been told that this system works for them, benefits them, that their Social Security was secure and that Medicare was guaranteed, that those manufacturing jobs were coming back and that this country was going to be great again. America is insolvent, and the people who are going to feel it are the same people who voted for exactly this. Some even 3 times. And we knew it was coming. We've always known it was coming because it always has been coming for us. But we warned you it was coming for you, so don't act shocked and surprised now. Y'all's debt is due.
Hello brothers and sisters, welcome back to the channel. I'm hoping that you are doing great from wherever you're watching this video from. And as you know, I'm your host and presenter Agent Stories. I want to talk about something. We are currently seeing the United States drowning in debt. Like it got close to 46 trillion in debt, and it only owes like 6 trillion in assets, things that it can count on. But this shows a deeper level because there's this dramatic shift in economic decline in the United States, and this all happened since Trump adjourned the office. So the following are the observations that we made, because this is just a big part of representation of what is happening in America. And you need to understand the majority of the people that chose to be in this part is white people. Because the biggest question that we are asking, because see, whatever we are having or whatever we are seeing, we know very well that when we try to look at the economic disparity between white America and black America, we get to see that the gap is so big, although black people are trying to cover the gap. And also, when we also try to look at a number of factors that affect for the same reason. Now, one thing that stands out in all this revelation, in the economic revelation in the United States, is white people decided to vote against themselves. See, white dominated states are facing harsh economic reality. I'm not saying that black people are not facing the same, but the people who are getting the real hit is white America. Why am I saying so? Because white America keep on voting against their own interest. And then the biggest question we ask ourselves is, why do poor white people vote against their own interest, against their own development, against their own health? Because of all of these things culminates down to them deciding to choose Mr. Donald Trump, even though they knew that Trump will one day, even though they know that one day Trump will make the United States be where it is today. So one question that we ask ourselves, because we are seeing this as, okay, it's American problem, but let's look at deep down to the reasons why this happened, and let's look deep down to the person who has really made this to happen. So that leaves us with one question, and the question is, why do poor white people usually, or majority of the time, vote against their own interest? Because we are seeing this happening, and this is a sign of the United States going bankrupt. So brothers and sisters, I'm opening this conversation to please let me know what you honestly feel about this. And I'm your host and presenter Agent of Stories. And if you're watching this video for the first time, I'm asking you to please subscribe to the channel, join the membership, and really get what I can offer you. For those who are always watching me, for those who are always coming back watching my videos, man, I'm really, really grateful for the support that you gave me. For those who are watching this for the first time, man, I'm asking you to please subscribe to the channel, join the membership, and really get to see what I can offer you. Brothers and sisters, it is the time for us to watch the video, and then I'll be back with my thoughts and commentaries and regards to this. So let's watch the video.
Quick. The United States is now bankrupt. Under Donald Trump's leadership, the Treasury Department just declared that the United States is insolvent, and news media is not talking about it. Fortune magazine is reporting the United States government is insolvent. That's not hyperbole. It's the conclusion drawn directly from the Treasury Department's own consolidated financial statements for fiscal year 2025, released last week to near total media silence. The numbers: the United States has $6.06 trillion in total assets against $47.78 trillion in total liabilities as of September 30th, 2025. In my opinion, the way that I'm looking at it, the United States is broke. The United States has $6 trillion. Let's look at it like that, $6 trillion, but it owes $48 trillion. That's problematic. Yeah. In my world, that would be considered broke. That would send us to the bankruptcy courts. And yet, you got Donald Trump, who filed a lawsuit against his own federal government for $10 billion. He is milking the United States in every which way that he can. His people are milking the United States for every single dollar, dime, nickel, penny that they can. They are raiding every last cupboard that is the federal government that belongs to the United States Treasury. And now he's put us in yet another war and wants to get another $200 billion for this war. That's not a war, it's a conflict. Oh, and he said that, It's over. The war is over. The war is over, but he wants another $200 billion. They are bleeding the United States dry. I'll see y'all later.
So the U.S. Treasury Department came out and quietly said that the United States is insolvent. That we have $48 trillion in debt and only $6 trillion in assets. And the only news that's reporting on this at all is Fortune magazine, of all places. Can't find anything about it, and then like NBC or ABC or anything like that. But yeah, the U.S. government's insolvent now, which honestly, who's really surprised? I mean, Donald Trump bankrupted everything he ever touched, so I'm not surprised that he bankrupted the United States government. Of course, it doesn't really matter. They'll just turn the printing presses on again and raise inflation, and the cost of living will just continue to go up more than it already has, because that's how inflation works. We're spending $1 billion a day on this war in Iran that's not going well at all, and you can tell it's not going well because there's no like news reporters on the ground talking about how well it's going, which they would be. I mean, I lived through the Iraq War. I remember what happened when they did that. It was like, look how great everything is, look at all the cool stuff we're doing, and it was horrible. But we don't even have good propaganda for this war. Like, nobody is for this war. This is insane, and the American empire might be at its end. This is going to be the Chinese century for sure at this rate.
The U.S. broke. The U.S. is broke. The U.S. Treasury has announced officially the U.S. is broke, baby. The U.S. is insoluble. The U.S. does not have enough assets equal money to pay their bills. And they keep making debt, especially with this war and everything. So the U.S. broke. They broke. The IRS said they broke. They just announced that the U.S. is broke, which we know the U.S. broke. We know that. All those big tax cuts that Trump made permanent. Now this war he done started with Iran. All the billions of dollars that he gave to himself and his friends and others. Of course the U.S. is broke. Of course. So that's the news today on Hump Day Wednesday. Officially, the U.S. Treasury announced U.S. broke. They can't pay their bills. They can't pay their bills. They broke.
The U.S. Treasury Department just declared the United States government insolvent. And the media missed it. No, the media did not miss it. The media intentionally did not talk about it. Do you guys know what this fucking means? Let's go ahead and look at the meaning of insolvent, shall we? Insolvent describes a person or organization unable to pay their debts as they fall due, or when their total liabilities exceed their total assets. Do you understand what that means? I'll break it down further for you. What that means is that a man who has bankrupted everything he has ever touched in his life, a man who bankrupted a real estate empire, a man who bankrupted a fucking casino, a man who bankrupted every fucking thing he has touched in his life, has now bankrupted the United States government. That means for the first time in its 250-year history, as far as I know, the United States government has more liabilities than it has assets. That means for the first time in American history, the United States government is literally and officially fucking broke, to the point that the Treasury has now called that, insolvent. It cannot pay its debts. United States government right now, if it were a person or a corporation, it would file for bankruptcy. A man that would probably be described as quite possibly the most unqualified candidate to ever run. Someone less fucking qualified than Al Sharpton ran for president. But you see, he promised the majority of the voting base in America that if they voted for him, he would make them superior again. He will give them an all-white country. He will bring them back to the era of slavery, where they had all the power and minorities or black people had nothing. And they believed him, despite everyone coming out and saying, look at the pudding, the proof is in the pudding, the proof is in the pudding. They said, yeah, we ain't seen no pudding. Well, for the first time in its 250-year history, the United States government has more liabilities than it has assets. If it were a corporation, it would file for bankruptcy. That's what we now have in us, and that's who we have, Trump.
Even though there's a handful of people who don't like me talking about regular politics, they say stick to jail politics, you're better at that. Now I got one for you guys right here. While everybody was at home sitting comfortable complaining, just like I am, about our tax system and how we get taxed like crazy, how it's voluntary but the IRS enforces it, I want y'all to look at this article right here and go look it up yourself. Yes, the U.S. Treasury has declared us bankrupt. But not like Chapter 7 bankrupt. Nah, not like that. We're talking about we owe so much debt. Our liabilities, our assets. We owe so much, people, as Americans. But not us though. Nah, it's our own government that owes investors, owes other countries, even owes ourselves, and the U.S. Treasury declared us bankrupt. So basically, the United States government has been flexing in designer clothes, maxing out credit cards, but their bank account screaming like, bro, you still owe, bro. You're in the negatives right now. Like, just to clear your balance, you still be broke. That's how bad we're doing right now. But yet it pisses me off to think about all our taxpayer dollars. Here we are, a lot of us as Americans still paying taxes, and yet we still owe money. But the government owes money, and they're making us pay that money because they're doing all the spending. We're not. We're just paying our taxes like regular civilians. So you know what that means? Nah, they're going to owe so much money that they're going to force us more. They're going to depend on us more, like they always do. Every state depends on its citizens to pay their taxes to fund their program. So now we're going to see interest rates go up even higher. You know, credit card interest, you know, house interest, anything with a goddamn interest on it that interests them, it's going to go high. Inflation's going to hit the roof. Now we wonder why gas prices are so high. They're making us pay their debts because they're spending our money. They're spending money that they haven't printed yet. Oh, a lot of people. But guess who has to pay for it? All of us. And yet not only this president, but the next president and the president before us and every other fucking president has put us in this debt. We're the ones that gotta pay, not them. How the fuck are they still have billionaires when we owe trillions of dollars, but we're in debt? We got the U.S. Treasury finally declared us bankrupt. But don't worry about it though. Trump already said midterms are already on lock. And he got a plan to lock that in to where he doesn't leave the office. So what can we really do besides still pay our taxes?
So I understand that the coffers are officially bare. America is broke. Like for real, like when you look at the numbers, I mean, okay, I know I've mentioned this about the debt several times in previous videos, but when you hear it spelled out like America has $6 trillion in assets and almost $49 trillion in debt, who's keeping the motherfucking books? Like, I don't even understand. I think that these folks in these governments, they just been taking money out. Like, I know a lot of things go unpaid for. They keep kicking the can down the road. But if poor money management was a country, damn. I promise you, I know that this bitch is just having like a liquidation sale. Some kind of way he monetizing everything, but this puts things in perspective. Like, I knew at 37, they were like, well, we have enough money to pay the interest on our debt, which is always fucked up. If that's all you're paying is like the interest on your debt or your minimum payment. Like, I don't even understand how somebody with 6 bankruptcies can ever be considered to run a nation with the 30 trillion plus dollars of debt we already had. None of this shit makes sense. And it's curious why Americans keep saying that we the richest country in the world. How is that possible with that kind of debt? Rich in what? Rich in lies? Rich in hypocrisy? Rich in what?
So I don't know if you've seen it, but the U.S. Treasury Department has just said that the United States is insolvent. Now, a lot of people may not understand what this means, but it means a lot. That means that if, for example, you and I were a company, or as human beings, or as entities, nonprofit organizations, if you don't have the resources to cover the expenses that you have, that means that there is a higher likelihood of bankruptcy. And the United States has obligations, specifically Social Security and Medicaid and Medicare, Medicare, not Medicaid. The United States has obligations that it has to pay for. And if it is insolvent, that means that there is a greater likelihood that they won't be able to meet the expenses or the things that they have to do. And that's just like with you. If you don't have money to cover your utilities are shut off. And for the United States in particular, that means that people may not have access to health care, or the funds that they put in, they're not going to be able to get out. This is horrible. This is a challenge. And the Republicans, not anyone else, the Republicans are responsible for this.
Francesca's is closing 400 stores and filing bankruptcy. Off Fifth is closing 57 stores and filing for bankruptcy. Macy's is closing up to 150 stores by the end of 2026. Children's Clothing is closing over 100 stores. EI is closing stores in New Jersey, New York, and Boston. Kroger is closing 60 supermarkets. GameStop has major planned closures for 2026. Walgreens has significant closures planned for 2026. Wendy's is closing 300 restaurants. Pizza Hut is closing 250 restaurants. Papa John's is closing 200 restaurants. Confirmed closures so far 2026, 1,400. I'm going to give you the projected closures. Please sit down for this. If you found this post sad, informative, please like, comment, follow, and share. The projected total closures for 2026, 7,900 retail, restaurants, and businesses. Just for 2026, economy was collapsing before the Iran war 23 days ago. Somebody with a master's degree who studies economics and has a business degree in accounting, all of us economists, Mr. Global, everybody is giving you warning, warning, warning. But this is something like we've never seen. So estimating the catastrophic damage, right now we're global damage. Even if we stop today, it will take years to get back infrastructure and supply. We are about to have unprecedented inflation. I want to remind you, we had inflation 2021-22 because we had the first worldwide pandemic since 1918. I want to remind you this was all 100% self-inflicted. Please like, comment, follow, and share.
To quote Lin-Manuel Miranda's Alexander Hamilton,
we need to handle our financial situation.
Because we are a nation of states, but the state of our nation is abysmal. We are insolvent. We have $6 trillion in assets, but $48 trillion in liabilities. To put it plainly, we have $6 to our name, but we owe $48, and that doesn't even include the $88 that we still need to fund Medicare and Social Security appropriately. We are careening off of a financial cliff, and we've been there for a long time. I'm actually a pretty fiscally conservative guy. I wish we would return to an age where balancing our federal budget mattered. And when we didn't have enough money, we didn't just say, that's all right, we'll just keep spending it. We actually figured out how to cut the budget and balance it. One of the biggest concerns is Pete Hegseth's Department of War Crimes, which gets 13 to 15% of our discretionary federal budget every single year. And yet for 8 years consecutively now, they have failed their audit because they don't provide enough information for auditors to actually say we're confident that these financial statements are accurate. We are sending money into black holes and abysses that we don't have any accountability over, and a reckoning will be coming, whether for us or for our children.
One thing that stands out is that we are all getting to see how racism is expensive and the devastating effects that it has towards people who do all this racism. White people, or at least majority of white folks, decided to vote for Mr. Donald Trump, thinking that he was going to be changing the lives of everyone, the lives of Americans, or their lives. But as it turned out, they were lied to. Majority of these people subscribe to white supremacy because the fear of losing whiteness made them trade their economic life, made them trade their prosperity, made them trade what they had to what they perceived to be losing. See, the rule of the nature is protect what you have, what you don't have. Find a way of working towards getting it. They wanted to use one stone to kill two birds with one stone, but it failed because none of those happened. The world right now is saying that the United States is losing its whiteness because people are getting to see white America for what it is. For the longest time, there are a couple of stereotypes that have been pushed towards black people, or that have been pushed about black people, that are not true. But as time went by, people saw what Trump did, people saw what Nyang'ao did, and all of these things make sense because now, when you are fighting so much not to lose what you think you are, and that's whiteness, you lose something. So poor white folks decided to vote for Mr. Donald Trump because they knew they were losing whiteness. They traded it with the economy. They traded it with their health. So all of those things happened. And one thing that you need to understand is that racism is expensive. And racism will always remain expensive. And this is what majority of these folks are learning today, that racism is expensive because it's affecting majority of them. It's affecting majority of the activities that they do. Now, somebody said that because I'm going to be reviewing what people said in regards to this. I do respect black Americans' opinions in regards to this. And it's important because it doesn't just end with my perspective. It ends also with people who live in the United States. What's their perspective in regards to everything that's really going on right now in the United States? So whatever we are seeing happening right now, it is just that part of a system that is getting exposed. Now, somebody said that racism is expensive. Oh, well, you can reach people who are so evil, they will rather chop off their own limbs than be human. That's deep. That's really deep because being human involves a lot of things. We talk about healthcare. We talk about food. We talk about shelter. All these things prevails to being a human being. But see, when the government don't want you to own none of those because they are making the life so expensive for everyone, they are making it difficult for everyone, and then it becomes a problem. It becomes a quagmire to the living of people, and that makes you not become human. Somebody said that the United States is broke, but has money for war. Yeah, Trump is really good at this. Remember, he's trying to sue the federal government to give him 10 trillion. But you ask, 10 billion. But you ask yourself this question: why is this money going? The American citizens themselves are having difficult economic times. People who chose Donald Trump, people who voted for Donald Trump, they are having difficult time right now. Why? Because Trump is using America's resources to fund wars, to fund things that doesn't benefit American citizens, right? Somebody say that's why he's kidnapping presidents and stealing their resources, because he's broke. Somebody say that all the tax cuts are given to the rich and corporations let that sink. That's the truth. The tax cuts, they are being given to the rich instead of taxing the rich proportionately, or taxing people proportionately. They're doing the opposite. The rich are getting to be tax exempted, and this is where the country could get a lot of money. The money which is gotten from the few citizen taxes, it's being used to things that does not benefit American citizens. So you understand where all these comes from. Somebody say that love Black American culture in movies and TV shows. I don't give a damn what people think of the culture. Okay. Somebody say that thanks 7 million people who voted for that chump who wants to wheel and deal USA like a failed business. Somebody also say that America is broke and attempting to take control of the oil and resources of Africa to survive. Not white nations have good intentions. Thieves is what they are. Yeah, it's true. What we are saying is happening is true, because we are seeing them trying to like have a plan of taking the resources of the United States, of Africa, because that's where they know they're going to get all these natural resources that they are going to in turn use to fund what is going on right now. Somebody say that the 1% are holding everything, yet buildings are going up everywhere, but we are still the homeless. The Europeans and little art folks are laughing all the way to the bank. Are we great yet, MAGA? That's just a question that somebody asks. Somebody also say that this is a sign of an approaching punishment. The United States spilled more innocent blood than any other nation in the world history. True or false? I could not agree more, because this is true. This is something that we have seen for a long time. The United States being in the middle of instabilities that are happening in different countries. We have seen the United States do this for a long time. Somebody said that every single time the Republicans get in office, we are having inflation, housing bubble collapse, too big to fall. This will take decades to fix, long after the buffoon's gone. So when are people gonna stop voting for them? That's just a question. The biggest question is, why do white people keep on voting against their economic interests? Right. So somebody say that it is time to elect a black man or a black woman to clean up their mess. Cut off all foreign and aid immediately. Cut the defense budget by 50% until the department's audit is balanced. Cut ICE monies by three-quarter. Eliminate wasteful spending by congressmen or women. Reform retirements, benefit of Congress, etc. Oh, and send me half case of red Sharpies and copy of the United States budget so I can make additional cuts in regards to this. Somebody said that he used your money to open crypto bank. That is why France with his private investors. He doesn't care about Americans. He's building a legacy for his children. Somebody said that the United States was broke since 1993 with the abrogation of gold and silver. This history, the average person doesn't understand with the fiat currency scheme. There is a part of history that America has been going, because people are asking, why are the gold reserves? People are asking this because people are not saying the gold reserves that were there before. So the question is, why are gold reserves? But this person is saying that America started being broke in 1993. 1933, sorry. I want to confirm from you guys if that's true. This is the last comment that I'm going to be reading. Donald Trump's casinos business filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection 4 times between 1991 and 2009, involving $3 major Atlantic City properties: the Trump Taj Mahal, Trump Plaza, and Trump Castle/Marina. So for those not paying attention, Trump filed for bankruptcy 4 times on 3 properties. This was well-known fact long before Trump ran for office. This is how he made money, by bankrupting companies. Why did you think for 1 minute he will do the same thing to the US? It's beyond me. So please, let me know what you think about this. As you know, I'm your host and I present Hygienic Stories. But until then, I'm hoping to see you on my next video. Until then, peace, love, and harmony. Let me see you on my next video.